Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we got a lot of breaking updates today. So the first news is coming from the Russian city of Kazan, where we've got news that leaders around the world are now arriving to the Russian city to attend the Brics 2024 summit. So the Brics summit is about to start, and leaders around the world are now arriving in masses into the Russian city. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, the South African president has arrived in the Russian city. We've also got on videos of the Prime Minister of India actually already has arrived in the Russian city. We've also got news that the Chinese President Xi Jinping has also arrived in the city. The Ethiopian Prime Minister has also arrived. The Egyptian President has arrived. The President of Iran has arrived. The officials of Maldives has arrived, and the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, has arrived, and the Palestine president has also arrived for the Brics meeting, and many more are coming up in the masses. So we've also gotten news that Putin has already met and had held talks with the Prime Minister of Modi already. So he thanked the Prime Minister of attending the BRICS summit. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see President Putin meet the Prime Minister of India, Modi, and they held a sideline meeting before the BRICS summit actually started. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see the two leaders talk. So Putin stated that our relations are so tight that I thought that you would understand me without the translation, and obviously the two leaders left. We've also gotten videos of President Putin meeting with the President of China, Xi Jinping, on the sidelines as well. And within their sideline meeting, the Xi Jinping stated that the BRICS mechanism is today the most important platform for solidarity and cooperation among emerging market and developing countries in the world, Xi Jinping stated. The goal is to promote the creation of an equal and orderly multipolar world, the Chinese president stated. Putin also began talks with the South African president on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Kazan. During the talks, Putin stated that Russia and South Africa advocate for the establishment of a just world order on the global stage. And we've also got news that Vladimir Putin and the president of the UAE also met and held talks. So the key statements between Putin and the UAE president is that interactions between Russia and the UAE in the international arenas is important for issues and global nature. Russia and the UAE relations are developing in the economic, trade and energy spheres. The UAE is ready to make efforts to further increase trade with Russia, which has exceeded 11 billion in 2023. The UAE will continue to assist Russia and Ukraine in exchanging prisoners and is ready to additional efforts to resolve the crisis situations. And during the negotiations with the President of the United Arab Emirates, stated that he values relations with Putin and noted that relations between Moscow and Abu Dhabi are the historical and strategic importance. So very big news. And we've also gotten some videos coming from Siberia, so the eastern part of Russia's far east. We've got a new footage that has arisen of in Russian channels. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, ASTRA shows the presence of what is claimed to be North Korean soldiers in the Primorsky Kra region. So I'll just highlight this. This is the Russian Oblast of Primorsky. So, North Korean soldiers in the Primorsky region has been spotted, apparently. So this video footage allegedly shows their arrival at military base 44980 of the 127th Motorized Division in this region. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, this video apparently shows North Korean soldiers. So, very, very big news. The video's author expressed hope that the war will end now that these handsome allies have arrived. So, very big news. We've also got news that two Tu-95MS long-range bombers of the Russian Air Force carried out planned flights in the airspace of neutral waters of the Sea of Japan, or the East Sea. The flight duration was about 10 hours, and also the two bombers was escorted by Su-30SM aircrafts of the Russian Aerospace Forces. So you can see here, you can see the operations of the Russian Air Force in the Sea of Japan. So very big news. Now let's head to Ukraine, where we've got news that President Zelensky and the US Defense Secretary Lloyd has discussed Ukraine's defense strategy for the winter and enhancing its long-range strikes capabilities against Russian military targets. Zelensky also expressed gratitude for the new $400 million military aid package from the US. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see the US Defense Secretary meet President Zelensky, and Lloyd Austin, the US Defense Secretary, gave Ukraine $400 million on behalf of the US. So in this new $400 million aid package, it includes ammunition for the HIMARS system, 155mm and 105mm artillery rounds, 60mm and 81mm and 120mm mortar systems and shells, javelins and 84 anti-tank systems, M113 armoured personnel carriers, satellite communication equipment, small arms and ammunition, grenades and training equipment, and spare parts, support equipment, and training and transportation. So very big aid package. And after the meeting, Lord Austin posted on X that it was an honor to meet with the President Zelensky in Kiev today. We remain committed to supporting Ukraine's fight for its sovereignty at a critical time in the war. The United States firmly stands with Ukraine on its fight against the Russian aggression. So very big news. We've also got news that Britain will lend Ukraine £2.26 billion. So that's about, in US dollars, that's about 2.94 billion US dollars as part of a much larger G7 loan. It's part of Russia's frozen assets to help buy weapons, the Defense Minister John Healey said. The money is solely to be used by Ukraine's military, so the news agency Reuters stated. We've also gotten some news coming from the Lithuanian Parliament Speaker. So the Speaker of the Lithuanian Parliament stated that undoubtedly the idea put forward by the French President Macron at the beginning of the year deserves attention. It is worthy not only of discussion but also of action, said the Speaker of the Lithuanian Parliament. So earlier, the French President once again spoke about sending troops to Ukraine if the Russian armed forces broke through the defensive and front line in Ukraine. We've also got news that the French Defense Minister said that the deployment of non-nuclear deterrent forces in Ukraine is an issue that must now be addressed. He could be thinking of medium-range ballistic missiles. And we've also gotten some news coming from the front lines of Ukraine. So I don't usually actually report on the front lines of Ukraine, but today's a little bit different because we've gotten some interesting news. So we've gotten news that a North Korean and a Russian flag was found in the landfill area here. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, the Ukrainian groups reported about a North Korean flag in the area settlement of Tunrusknir. I think that's how you pronounce this settlement, in the Provosky direction. But a lot of people are saying that this Russian and North Korean flag here are just photoshopped. But if this is true, I don't think actual North Korean troops are actually planted this flag. I think it was just a bit of trolling, I think. But very interesting news. And now let's head to the EU referendum in Moldova. So the final result of the referendum on joining the EU is out. So the number of votes in favour increased to nearly 50.5%. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, soon Moldova will update its constitution. So Moldova has voted to go towards the EU. So yesterday it looked like it wasn't going to pass, but today it has just passed with 50.46% stating yes, and 49.54% said no. So the Moldovan EU referendum has just passed, just barely. So very interesting news. And now let's go to Greece, where we've got news that Greece has refused to participate in NATO's mission to protect Baltic airspace. So Greece has rejected a request from Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania to send F-16 fighter jets for the NATO air policing mission, citing its current commitments in the Balkans. So Greece will not participate in NATO's mission over the Baltic states. So very interesting news. And now let's head to Poland, where we've got news that in the EU starting next year, when Poland's presidency of the Council of the European Union begins, discussions on strengthening sanctions against Russia are expected to revive, Politico reports. So Warsaw, so Poland, has already made it clear that it intends to use its 6-month presidency to tighten controls on Russian fuel entering the EU. So according to the news agency Politico, it reports that Poland, when it gets its presidency over the EU, it will use that power to decrease and tighten controls on Russian fuel entering the EU. So that means in Hungary, Slovakia, maybe the Czech Republic. So very big news. And now let's head to Italy, where we've got news that Italy's birth rate plummets towards a historic low in 2024. So according to the national statistics ISTAT of Italy, births in Italy are projected to hit a new record low, marking the 16th consecutive annual decline and the lowest number since the Italian unification in 1861. Between January and July, there were 4,600 fewer births than in the same period last year, so a 2.1% drop, the ISTA said in a statement. In 2023, as a whole, Italy recorded 379,890 births, with roughly 6 newborns per 1,000 residents. That's represented a 3.4% drop on 2022 and a decline of 34.1% from 2008. And now let's head to France, where we've got news that Macron is preparing to receive the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, at the Elysee Palace in the city of Paris. So Macron is going to meet him tonight. So very big news. So Macron is going to be visiting and meeting up with the Prime Minister of Hungary. We've also got news that as winter approaches, the French government has once again urged citizens to conserve electricity. The goal of the campaign is to remind people that everyday action matters to continue and reducing the energy consumption in France, noted the energy minister of France. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, they produced an ad where it urges French citizens to try and reserve the electricity. And this kind of goes co in hand with the next news coming from this city here near the German and French border. So coming from this exact cathedral. So the famous Notre Dame d'Istanbul, I think that's how you pronounce the cathedral, will now be darkened from 11 p.m. at night. This decision was taken in order to save the city €5 per day. So in order to save the €5 a day, the French authorities will be turning off the lights in this cathedral at 11 p.m. at night to try and save electricity. So there's going to be huge electricity cutbacks in France. So very interesting news. I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got news that France introduces temporary border controls. So starting from November the 1st, France will introduce border controls at all land borders until April 2025. This applies to the crossings with Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, Italy, and Spain. So the Prime Minister of France noted that the controls is already in place on the border with Italy and is successfully counteracting illegal migration from Italy. So France introduces temporary border controls. We've also got news coming from the United Kingdom. So the United Kingdom will not apologise or pay reparations for the slave trade. So the spokesman for the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer stated that reparations are not on the agenda for the Commonwealth leaders. The government's position on this issue has not changed. We do not pay reparations, said the spokesman for the Prime Minister Keir Starmer. So Britain will not pay reparations for the slave trade, according to the spokesman of the British Prime Minister. We've also got news that in Norway, flights are being cancelled and certain areas are without power due to a storm. So the autumn storm named Ashley caused the cancellation of some flights and ferries in western Norway on Monday, and several bridges were closed and certain areas left without electricity, and wind speeds in some places reached 41 to 46 meters per second. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, we've got some videos of this storm called Ashley causing some devastation to Norway. So very big news. We've also got news that mass protests have erupted in Morocco in the solidarity with Palestine, Gaza and Lebanon. So following the Hamas leader's death of Yahya Sinwar. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, protests in Morocco have erupted in the capital city and other places in Morocco. We've gotten some news coming from Nigeria that Nigeria is launched 4 new satellites to boost space technology. So Nigeria will launch 4 new satellites in the coming days as part of efforts to strengthen its space technology capabilities. So this was approved by the president of Nigeria, and Nigeria will be set to launch 4 new satellites to boost space technology. And now let's go to Sudan, where we've got really big news. So Sudanese separatists mistakenly shot down a cargo plane from the UAE, and the crew of which was partially Russian. So this was reported by Sudan's War Monitor. So it is claimed that the UAE Li-76 plane was shot down in this region of Sudan, so this isolated region of Sudan, in near this facility here. So I've marked it out on the map. So it was shot down by RSF separatist fighters from whom the delivery was intended. According to one version, there were weapons on board. A citizen of the Russian Federation and Kyrgyzstan was among the crew. The exact number of victims and fatalities is unknown, but the crew of the Li-76 usually consists of 5 people. So a plane, so an Li-76 cargo plane was shot down in Sudan, and it was a UAE plane. And now let's head to Yemen, and we've gotten some statements coming from the Yemeni armed forces. So the Yemeni armed forces stated that we have carried out a strategic military operation targeting an Israeli military base east of the occupied Jaffa with a Palestine II hypersonic ballistic missile. The missile successfully reached its target, bypassing both the US and Israeli interception missiles systems, according to the Yemeni armed forces. So I'm not actually sure if this is true yet. So we've got no footage of the launch or the result of the attack, so we'll probably get that tomorrow. And yesterday we talked a little bit about how Benjamin Netanyahu's house was actually struck. So a video was released of Netanyahu's residence after a Hezbollah drone struck the house over the weekends. So if you guys remember, in the last video we talked about how a Hezbollah drone actually tried it did hit Benjamin Netanyahu's house and obviously tried to assassinate the Prime Minister of Israel. So the Israeli state TV reports that a drone struck the bedroom side of the Prime Minister's residence, and Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife were not home at the time. So Hezbollah technically tried to assassinate the Prime Minister of Israel. So very interesting news, and if you can see here in the bottom left corner, the video was released of the Netanyahu's residence after the drone attack. We've also got news that Israel is about to receive an emergency US aid package of $5.2 billion to strengthen air defenses. So the US aid will be used to strengthen the Iron Dome system. So very big news. We've also got news that Israel stated that a very significant attack will be carried out on Iran soon. So that's all we've gotten about that. So apparently the huge Israeli response to the Iranian attack will be very soon, according to the Israel authorities. And we've also got news that Hezbollah leader Hassim has been killed by the IDF, and this was confirmed by the IDF forces. So Israel's confirmation of the Hassim death came as the US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken pressed Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday to capitalize on Hamas chief Sinwar's death to secure the release of hostages, according to Reuters. So we've got news that the head of Hezbollah has been killed again, it seems. So I think this puts it at the 5th Hezbollah leader has died now. So very big news. So Israel has yet again knocked out the leader of Hezbollah. And the last news from Lebanon is that China has delivered a batch of 58-ton emergency medical aid to Lebanon. So China has delivered 58 tons of medical aid to Lebanon. And now let's head to India and Oman, where we've got news that India and Oman conduct naval drills off in Indian Ocean amid Middle East crisis. The Indian Navy and the Royal Navy of Oman participated in an Indo-Oman joint naval exercise titled the Asim al-Bahr off the coast of Goa, so this region here. So India and Oman are now conducting Navy exercises, so very interesting news. We've also got news that India launches its 4th nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine. So India has launched its 4th nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarine at the shipbuilding centre, the SBC, in this exact city here. So in this exact port where India builds its ships, and even if we just see here in its satellite point of view, we can see Indian ships here. So India here in this exact city port has produced the 4th nuclear ballistic missile submarine of the Indian Navy. So very big news. And now let's head to Vietnam, where we've got news that Long Gong, I think that's how you pronounce his name, has been elected Vietnam's new president. So Vietnam has elected its new president. Vietnam appoints 4th president in nearly 2 years after months of political turmoil. So Long Gong, the new president of Vietnam, is known for his loyalty to the Communist Party and has a very big military background, and he is known for his loyalty. So we've got news that Vietnam has elected its new Vietnamese president. So big news. We've also got news that China has announced that it will carry out live fire exercises in the Taiwan Strait. We've also got news coming from the DPRK, so North Korea. That's Kim Yong-jong, so the deputy head of the department of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, and the sister of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, expressed the opinion that South Korea and Ukraine are like 2 peas in a pot, she stated, calling the 2 countries ill-mannered dogs bred by the US. So that was stated by the Kim Jong-un's sister. We've also got news that Kim Jong-un inspects strategic missile bases, the key CNA reports. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see Kim Jong-un inspect the missiles of the North Korean arsenal. We've also got news coming from South Korea that, we've got some statements coming from South Korea's ambassador to the UN. So South Korea's ambassador to the UN stated that North Korea could receive nuclear technology from Russia in exchange for soldiers. He stated that North Korea is likely to become an active participant in the war soon, so in the exchange of nuclear technology from Russia. So this was stated by South Korea's ambassador to the UN. And now let's head to Cuba, where we've got news that power supply has been restored to 70% of Cuban customers. So in these past couple of videos, we've been talking about how the power grid in Cuba completely failed. So Cuba was without electricity for 3 days straight. So on the 4th day, it seems that the power supply has been restored to 70% of Cuban customers, the energy ministry stated. So apparently that most of Cubans now have electricity. There's just still 30% of Cubans that don't have electricity at this very moment. The Cuban Ministry of Energy stated. Even that number is now being debated. So a lot of people are stating that it's not 70%, it's way lower. It's just a propaganda figure. It's a propaganda number. But we've also got news coming from the leader of Cuba. So the leader of Cuba actually called the Cubans who have protested after 72 hours without electricity drunks. So very big news. And the last news coming today is coming from some statistics of the 2024 US election. So Harris leads Trump in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and Trump leads Harris in North Carolina and Arizona, and they tied in Nevada. Sorry. So this was published by the Washington Post. So very interesting news, and that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-Seen News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.